Welcome to the Feria Techcast for being all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we're joined by Khudania Ajay, a top global podcaster, senior journalist, and host of over 2,000 episodes, who specializes in transforming complex ideas into compelling narratives that resonate across audiences. With 2 decades of experience at major media outlets like CNBC and Reuters, AJ brings a unique perspective on communication and storytelling. He has mastered the art of powerful questioning and narrative building, skills he now uses to help experts and leaders to communicate with clarity and impact. So, AJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ezekiel. Nice to come on to your show.
Great. So tell us, you've conducted over 2,000 interviews. What's the one technique you use to make a complex or, in quotes, dry technical topic instantly feel engaging for the audiences?
Absolutely. So one quick technique is that always try to understand things from a learner's perspective. Somebody who does not know about that particular subject or topic. You are the one who is, asking questions if you are a host or if you are anyone common person who's trying to understand a topic, and you would generally ask it, from an expert who is in front of you. Even if you are using an AI tool, you ask the right kind of question, the right kind of prompt, then the expert within the AI answers. The same way, if you are asking it to an expert, you try to become a learner. Now depends on what type of learner you want to be. So I would say, if you are asking from a host of point of view, then you must ask from the audience perspective. What is it that the audience would want to understand from this particular expert? And from that, you decide the level of learning that that sort of an audience wants. So, and then you put the questions according to those, to the expert. For example, if you just want to understand it for, say, the very basics, from the very basics, then it's always very good to understand things from the basic, because a lot of people may have heard about the same terms, but they may have different ideas about the same term. But you want to understand an expert's perspective on that. What do you think about a particular thing? And they will then give their own perspective on that, and the audience would love you for that, because they are trying to, even though they have heard the term or something, they are understanding it from the basics. And especially in technical subjects, it is always better to get onto that side. Do not assume that uh, that everyone will know about it. They may be uh, good in one particular area, but then not everyone, until it is such a highly sophisticated audience, that they would not need any explanation from the basics. Then you directly talk on the topic itself. Suppose if it's a one doctor trying to understand things from another doctor, and the audience is in terms of only the doctors itself, and those are all high level doctors, then you would not want to break down things in very simple form. But if you are hosting or trying to understand it from that level, then you must go for the basics and understand things from that perspective. This is what I can, without knowing the questions or the audience or anything, at the outset, this is what I can say in terms of understanding things from a technical perspective. Is it?
Wonderful, wonderful, AJ. So, many of our listeners are in technical fields like science, engineering, and technology. So, but some may struggle to explain their work simply to the average Joe or the layman. So, what's your best tip for turning a technical concept into a compelling story?
Okay, so you want me to explain something technical that an expert has to explain to a common audience, common people. Is that the right way I am understanding your question, Ezekiel?
Yeah, precisely.
Absolutely. So it's the same thing. Here, when I was talking about just the earlier question was that, as a host, you are asking questions to an expert. Here, you understand it that the expert has no host, and he or she has to understand the audience. So they have to do that research. Here, the host is not there to ask. And when you are audience addressing the audience directly or even through a host, then understand your audience. And if you know that the audience is again people who want to learn, people who are not, say, super experts of your field, but and you want to tell them, say, for example, if a doctor, earlier also we are talking about the doctor person, or even in a technical line, suppose if somebody is from a, uh, from a space, is from the space scientist line, and he understands things from that. Now, within his community, he might use, you know, words, explanations, shortened forms, or anything very quickly. But the same may not work if you are talking to an audience outside that same organization, and if it's an audience which is, then you have to keep that in mind. Do not, because it becomes your habit, but the other person who is listening to it may lose whole context of the concept that you are trying to explain, because you are not talking in that language. So make sure that you are using language which is easy, and ensure that, when you are preparing your expertise talks and everything, you are using language, uh, or the words that you are using or talking about a concept or equipment or anything which may your audience may never have heard of, or may have heard of but do not know it the way you want them to understand it, isn't it? And that is where you have to be mindful of what you are going to say, be mindful of how you are going to say, without assuming that the audience of yours will know. It is like, the same thing, uh, that a science concept is a science concept until unless you are not speaking to a scientist group. It is the same for a person either in class 12 or even graduation, or even a child. You have to explain it in a language that all these segments can understand it, uh, in the as easy as possible. It's not too much different in real life also. Concepts are have to be understood. The whole idea is to benefit your audience with your expertise. They cannot just, listen to you and become an expert like you. So what is it that they want to learn from? To understand different concepts in a much more easy way. Or maybe they have heard one version from one another person, but now you want to tell them. For example, even in medicine, you see someone, an expert on diabetes, will talk about diabetes in his own way, but another expert will talk about diabetes in their own way. Okay. And even their focus might be, one will too much lean towards the medicine side, that okay, try and cure it through this medicine. But if it's another expert, then they might tell, okay, there are ways you can, tackle it. Medicine comes last, or it is only for the time till you can manage it with other efforts like walking and so many other, or the third person may purely say, you don't need any of this, you just try it out through walking and, those ancient medicines and all. So the same way, that is where the beauty of the same thing. It's like, listening to a song, Ezekiel. You are listening to a song from a well established artist, but after some time you may not want to listen to the same artist. You may want to listen to the same song from amateurs, people who are trying to listen, and you enjoy it more because everyone, say 10 different people will sing their own version. That's why you see trends get so famous. The big idea, people are trying to express their ideas in different forms, and that's why you people keep on scrolling even on trends, even on songs by the same. So concepts are also like that. You must know who it is for, and if you explain it as per your audience, you will become a you will be assumed that super expert from their point of view.
That is a really, really, really great response, AJ. So tell us, how can this principle of great interviewing be used by a founder in pitching to investors or a scientist in presenting a research?
Absolutely. So founder must know that. Founder must know that he has found. So I don't know whether that founder will be an expert, he comes from the same expertise, or maybe he has, one is called innovation, which is dealing with around the same industry, but he's not an expert in that. He has created incremental innovation or something like that, but he has to then explain it to the other experts. And obviously, you cannot become those experts. You be yourself. Do not try to become an expert, though you would not want to waste their time. So, what you do is you focus on what is it exactly that you are trying to explain and prepare for it. And as I said, do not try to impress them. Try to help them understand what your concept is. If it's an innovation, what your innovation is, okay? And then focus on the same thing, that this is what you have done, this is what your focus is, this is the solution that you are aiming for, and this is what you aim to do in the longer run. And this is where you see the challenges, this is where you see the solutions even to those challenges, and you want to explain them. And depending on the purpose of that whole presentation, you want to be more, you want to tell them about this. And again, if you want to know more from their perspective, because those people are the experts, even though you have founded something around around that particular area, then according to that there will be exchange. But I would say, for a founder, unless you are an expert of the, you are both experts in the same field, then do not try to, do not try to impress them. Try to learn. Learning is the key, Ezekiel. At every point in time, if you have that learning mindset, others will give you more than you expect or anticipate. If you try to unnecessarily try to be, which we call is now, try to be over smart, then people have a bit, they have their uh, own way of looking at these things. So even for founders everywhere, we are all human beings. Designations come first. Designations can give you an audience, but the audience will only get impressed by people who are more human, who are there to exchange notes, rather than until it's such a super expert that Einstein sort of a person is speaking, then everybody would like to understand things from his perspective, and gain from that knowledge. We all can try to learn, try to just keep on learning from each other. That's the best approach, I guess, for anyone.
That is indeed a wonderful approach. So, AJ, what do you think is the most common mistake experts make when trying to communicate their ideas, and how exactly can they avoid it?
Absolutely. So experts, you see, for example, you see, weather, in terms of weather, some are very good in explanation, but many experts, you see, even from the climate change perspective, one example, they may not be 100% correct example, but some are very good in explaining, but some are coming from a very technical background. If you put them into presentation and they want to explain it to a common person, that is where you will feel that the mismatch is there. They are talking about numbers, they are talking about phenomenons, weather change, which a common person does not know about and will not understand it. They just want to understand it from a very simple perspective. What this is all about. They understand climate change, that weather is changing. They understand few things. Just tell them what is happening, what is it that they should understand, what is it that they can do, how they can be prepared today and for tomorrow, and how they can, there are safety measures for them today and for tomorrow. They will learn. But if you just come and share as if you have to just talk about your presentation, those things, because you have assumed that the people understand your language, that is where you always need a person who can, it is like a translator. But in real, even if one person is speaking one type of English, Ezekiel, and the other person also knows English, but this English is difficult for him because of that accent, then you need either a transcript or a translator to even translate English, but different versions of English, or different English from different accents. So understand that even if English by two people still can need a translator because of the accent, how is it that your technical expertise for a common audience will not need explanation in a simple language? Now, everywhere you do not have a thing called translator. because you are directly communicating. So you talk in that language that they can understand. Because I can understand your accent, you can understand my accent. Here I am. But if we were both not to understand each other well, then we would speak much more slowly. We would perhaps talk a bit differently if it were not for a podcast recording. As I said, there is no big complex problem here. It is just the basic simple nuance that even an expert has to understand, that they want to understand the issue. They don't want to become an expert. Do not give them an expert's language. Do not give them an expert's explanation. Do not want to try to make them an expert. Give them what it is all about. Help them understand like a 5-year, 10-year-old from that perspective, or 15-year, 20-year-old if required, and then give them exactly what you want them to do. It is like the call to action. Always make it very simple, not complex. Same way, your audience will always seek that from you until it's such a sophisticated or, very focused audience.
That is such a great response, AJ. So tell us, how do you prepare to interview someone with a very deep technical background to ensure that you both understand the conversation and make it accessible to listeners? I mean, being someone with several years of experience in the media and a top global podcaster with over 2,000 plus episodes, I like to hear things from your perspective.
Absolutely. So there are many experts which keep in happening, in a podcaster's life. It is happening in your life. It happens in mine also, Ezekiel. So I don't know. I mean, it's about so many things I don't know. And I do not try to, like what, for example, even in technology, I do not know many things. Earlier on, I didn't even know even what I know today, because I've learned a few things here and there. But when you are preparing for an interview, as I said, do not try to become an expert. I am repeating it again and again. Try to learn it like your audience. Become your audience and focus on exactly what is it that you want to learn from that expert. Why did you call that expert on that particular thing? What made you call that? Do not forget that. Always remember, this is the thing that you want to talk to them. Fine tune it, chisel it, but try to focus on that. Once you know that this is what you want to understand it for your audience, okay, then you focus on things around that. And then when you, because the expert is an expert, you give them a thread, they will try to add more value around it. But read for yourself in such a manner that you are able to come in. If the expert is getting digressing a bit is fine, but beyond that, then that much reading you have to do as a host, or anyone who is doing as a moderator or someone. And that is where your expertise, you have to invest time in yourself. You may not be an expert, but then today you are in the best of position that you can read about those things. Okay, if you are reading about artificial intelligence, then you have to also, it is better to understand artificial general intelligence. I also don't know many a times, but at least for the interview, try to understand things that you will need during the interview. It will happen that that you will know what the expert is talking, and your follow up questions will become much better even without becoming an expert. And your expert, who are you are interviewing, he will be very pleased. He does not expect you to be an expert, but he will be very pleased that he has got someone who understands his expertise, his brilliance, and is able to make him express those things, isn't it? And once he knows that, he will very happily leave himself in your hands, in your safe hands. That yes, this is one host I can trust fully. He will relax, and your conversation will become very useful for your audience. Then your guest in a relaxed mode will take your responsibility and try to make it, and he will not also digress. For that, you have to always be, make sure. And that is where your questions are also very useful. You just prepare things around that okay, can you explain it from a common person's perspective? This is you said, but how can a common person implement this, use it in their lives? You talked about this heavy equipment. Is there a Is there a application that is, that can be used by common person, or is it that such an application can be utilized by their community? Depending on the type of things that you are talking, just ask it from a very common. Why did you make it? What inspired you to make this particular thing? How do you think, which are the places which can be utilized? This particular thing can be utilized. Is it, how long do you think it has got a future? Because the world is very changing very fast. New technologies are coming. All depending on that context, you keep your questions alive, and in 1 or 2 lines, 3 lines maximum, unless you yourself will become an expert, not in that sense technical expert, but in terms of understanding things. The more you understand, the better your questions will become, the better your understanding will be of the same topic, and the more your audience will love, because you are bringing them, not, you can say, expert version of things, but much more fine tuned version of everything. So tomorrow, if you get the same expert or another expert on the same thing, you will find that you are suddenly, coming out in a different light. That's how you grow. That's why you keep on practice, and it will keep on, fine tuning your expertise, Ezekiel.
Amazing, amazing. So, you've talked about finding peace amidst chaos. So, how can that mindset help an entrepreneur or an engineer dealing with the high pressure, fast-paced tech world?
Absolutely. So let me ask you or answer it this way, Ezekiel. We all go out in the world. We all go out. We work very hard. We work in our offices. Podcasters work in their studios or whatever setup they have. And then everyone, who gets tired outside, what do they do? They always go home. Where do you, as an individual, go home in terms of ideas? You want to go to a place which is of your peace. You want to be at peace with yourself within whatever atmosphere. If you have a family, if you have children, if you have got parents, or a corner in your house or outside your house or in the park, a place which you can call yourself, where you can rest your mind, your brain, yourself, in that sense. That is where you will find peace. So one has to see what brings peace to you. Some people find peace in helping others. So you find that, find yourself within that. What is it that brings you that sort of a peace? An entrepreneur may find peace in, some entrepreneurs find peace in creating a lot of money for themselves, but then sometimes you realize it later on that was the wrong path. Then you realize, okay, I want to help people. That was the purpose. So you talk about profit with purpose, isn't it? Then you talk about that will bring you peace. So the earlier you understand about that purpose, the better it is. So for every individual, they have to understand their own version of peace, Ezekiel. Even warriors need peace in a battlefield. They will talk about, always looking for going back home. That home is not actually in terms of that home. They're talking about the home in mind, where they can actually, be away from war in a state of peace, where there is no war. Everyone has to, for an entrepreneur, they have to know where is it that they are finding, because they went into that particular thing for a particular reason. Sometimes you start a business for making money, but there are many times, that uh, your understanding of your whole purpose keeps on changing, or it might, if you are very lucky from early itself, you will understand. My version of peace is that, that at the end of the day, even if I'm very busy, at the end of the day, I can find time with myself, give my mind a rest. Not like, when people are nowadays talking about, and especially in today's time, when we keep on looking at mobile phones, scrolling, unnecessary things, we as podcasters are, doing so much of work. So even if we are not, scrolling or watching shorts or reels, we also need that mind away from all this digital, life. And that is our peace in that sense. And then there is the wider version of peace, which is in our personal lives, so everyone has that version of peace. They have to define it. For each, it will be a very different version that they have. That is where a lot of some effort has to be given every day to understand who you are, what you want, how to get to that. Otherwise, sometimes, it can be a wasted life, and you will not have enough time to, reset things, or do that course correction. That's what I can say, Ezekiel.
Wonderful. So, what have you learned about building genuine trust and visibility from your journey in media, and also being a podcast host who have published thousands of podcast episodes? And how can you teach technical founders to apply that lesson?
Absolutely. So if you talk about trust, uh, you don't have to create trust. Be who you are, and if you are being who you are, what you are, that is the most trustworthy version. Any other version will need that extra polish, but if you be yourself, then it will automatically create trust. A glass of water is a glass of water, and everybody understands that it's a glass of water, and
Mm,
everybody trusts that glass of water. But if you try to give it a polished version because you want to sell it at a very higher price, then you will give it a different name. And then you cannot expect that same glass of water to have the same trust, same amount of trust, and sell it to people at a very higher price in the name that this will change your life. So trust is also like that. Be yourself, and if you are creating value, then make that value transparent. People will understand it. But do not try to, in the name of value, do not try to give them that same stuff and telling that this is the version this you have created for other people. So as long as you are being yourself, trust is not an issue. In terms of the technical people, if you are talking about, see, technical people are also like any other person, except that they have got that extra capability and technical expertise. So, as I said earlier, those are your expertise, but you are not what your expertise is all about. Your expertise is just one part of it. Like Ezekiel, you are a podcaster, but podcaster is only one aspect of us. We are much more beyond that. We go back to being who we are immediately after the podcast is done, isn't it? The same way for technical people also, leave that technical clothing as soon as that work is done and be yourself. As soon as you make that transition, people will start trusting you from that. It's like an actor goes, does the acting part, changes into that clothing, does the acting role, leaves that clothing and that particular place, comes back home. He's not that role. He becomes the husband, wife, father, mother, whoever it is, and the children. So they don't have any other version. They know it exists. This is my husband, wife, parent, daughter, son, immediately. So when you are changing from a technical aspect to an individual, if you can do it flawlessly, the whole trick is to be flawlessly. Don't want people to just look at you from a technical expertise, or don't try to be known as Leo for your technical expertise, especially for those people who know you as somebody beyond that. If you push it too much, there will be a day when you want to tell them that I am beyond this technical expertise. People will not see it because they have now trained their brain to only see the way you wanted them to see. So don't make that mistake. Always make sure to be known as what you want them to know. So that is where your trust will come. And the visibility part, it all depends on different people to people, depending on your expertise. If you are a technical person, you have to decide what sort of a visibility you want. Like, for example, for me, I am not a very social media kind of person. But for podcasts, we have to become social media savvy, isn't it? We do it, we put it on so many other places. But then, does it change my core identity that I will not like to spend time beyond a certain period on social media? I don't scroll. I only sometimes maybe look at things. In the same way, if you are a technical person, and if you want to address audiences beyond what is in front of you, and you want to go for social media, but then use it like a social media. You put things, automate it, but don't get too deep into it that you become another doom scroller, a scroller. Then it will be loss of identity. Then it will be loss of trust. Okay, go go for being, use it. These are all tools, even our other thoughts are everything else beyond what we are. They are just tools. They are just, another acting role in our life. Do that role, come back to yourself, come back to your home. Nobody will ever doubt you who you are. You will be always the same. Others will always consider yourself you the same. You will not lose anything. That's what I can say.
That is amazing, AJ. So, for the creators in our audience, what's your key to staying consistent and growing with purpose, especially when you're just starting out? I mean, you've been consistent for quite a while, and publishing over 2000 plus episodes. I think that requires a great deal of consistency. So, I mean, what's your key to staying consistent?
Absolutely. So for creators, the most important thing is, Ezekiel, is to get started itself. So do not think too much. Do not overthink too much. Do not try to think that there will be one fine day when everything is in the 100% mode. Then you will get started. Do not do that. Just get started. Once you get started, once you take that first step, then that is the most important step. You will find that with every step, you will start growing. And forget the numbers. Just, you will see that whole transformation in yourself itself. And that is the thing, which will, uh, chisel, fine tune your next step and next step and next step. And bit by bit, you will see from one episode to two episode, even if it's for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, don't think too much. You have got the phone in your hand, you have got the shorts, you have got the reels. Just express yourself. Express yourself. Once, bit by bit, you will see that you are able to express yourself on different things that you want to talk about. You are able to talk to other experts, you are able to interview them. And bit by bit, from one episode to 10 episodes to 20 episodes to 100 to 500, and you will just become, along the way, it will be a totally different person, and the world will start seeing you in a different light, and you won't even recognize it. Maybe every one fine day you will sit and you'll see, okay, that old video which I was not wanting to put out, if I had not put that out, I would not have reached this stage. So how can it
Oh,
be
wow.
that, that so then you know the importance of that one single step. If that did not happen, the present would not happen. So do it, get started, and life will actually, uh, you know uh, begin for you in a different version from that moment. That's all. For the for the established ones, the most important thing is, take care of yourself, the wellness part of it. Take care of your health, take care of your mind space, take care of your, if you don't feel like, don't do it. As long as you are doing and enjoying something, enjoy, and ensure that you are, prepared for a time when there will be a bit of a break, because the body will need break, your mind will need break. You have to not only take break, you have to reassess the whole situation from a certain bit of a distance, so that you can see things very clearly, from, because you are too much into things. So when you step back too much, become a non-participatory observer in your own life, that as if third person of you is observing you from outside. You will be able to see things better, assess things better, make those course corrections, go and look at analytics, what is working for you. At the end of the day, why you are into this line. If you want to monetize it, then ensure that you are moving into that direction. Okay, because the world is not going to come and tell you anything. Those who will come on to take away from you, they will come and squeeze every bit of value that they can. So know the type of people you are interviewing, know the type of people you are interacting from that. The best thing is to create a group of people from where you can learn every day. Online is the biggest way. Now you have got that available, and ensure that, people who are very smooth talkers, are they also as beneficial to you as the way they are talking. So ensure that it is all aligned with the path that you want to take, because you started from a crossroads. Now you are moving towards the destination. Why to get distracted by, shiny things along the way? Make sure that you keep walking, because your destination is also waiting for you. So you've got to be smart, because the more closer the destination comes, the more shiny objects will come in your way. So don't lose your way. That's all I can say to all my creator friends.
Wow, wow, that is such a great advice. I mean, Uh, I asked a question for the audience, but I got a great deal of personal advice from what you just said just now. Thank you for sharing that. So, finally, AJ, I have one more question for you. I like to save this one for the last to ask every guest I interview on this podcast. So, tell us, what does innovation mean to you, and how does it relate to your field and your life? I mean, the context of communication and storytelling as I mean relates to your podcast. Just tell us, I mean, what does the word innovation? I like to hear the meaning from your perspective.
Absolutely. So innovation is different, for different people. Ezekiel, innovation is uh, that what you do with the resources you have got. What you can do with the resource you have got. So if you say, if you have got some sort of, uh, anything in your life, any resource in your life, then how are you using it to make the best of for yourself, people around your family, around the community, and in a wider way that is possible. So innovation, I would not see always from a technical perspective, though we use it much more from a technical point of view. Okay. But in terms of, say, if you have a resource, if you got money, and if that money is utilized in a purpose, that finding the purpose is a innovation in your life. Otherwise, that money was, it's like your money. If you dig a hole and bury the money into that, what will that wealth be of? No use. Somebody else will discover it and misuse it. The same way, but if you use the wealth and invest in a manner that it can create value for not only to yourself, but you are employing people, using it, community, your country, world, that is innovation in that sense. But and if you are talking purely from a technical line itself, then you see there are so many people, technical perspective. If you see, they are working for big companies. No harm in working for big companies, but then you are always working for big companies. You want to look for bigger pays. No harm in that. But then one fine morning or every day you are worried about you will lose your job. Where is your expertise you are utilizing? Innovate, create something which makes life, you know easy for people. Do not only create something for the bigger companies. Use, if you are in a technical line, all 24 hours cannot be just for your company. Innovate, create, incrementally innovate, make something, you know, for those people who actually need it. That is why God gave you that whole gift of, technical expertise. I don't have that gift. I don't know. So I will do it only in my way. So I will perhaps bring those experts and perhaps give them the platform to talk about anything that they have created. I may not be as excited if they talk about their big company, that if they have launched a big app, new app. How is it that exciting? But if you tell me that, listen, this particular innovator, a technical person, has is working in a big company or was working in a big company, but along with that, he has created something that can solve, water problem in Nigeria or water problem in any other part of the world. you know I will be super excited about that, not by the type of things that you have got, but by the type of impact it will create, even for a few people or 100 people or 1,000 people. That is innovation. Just like in physics you have got applied physics, in the same way, if you have got that innovation sort of a trend, then you see, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. Look at the necessity of people. Why is it that a common person has to think about that? You have been bestowed with that knowledge. You have got that expertise. Utilize it for everyone, not just create only because you are a part of the big company. They will they, they will just patent it. Why? How about creating something, you keep patent it, and you can, create that big impact everywhere. So I would say, look at from that perspective, use the knowledge for the wider people, not for just, creating value for just a couple of people in terms of, having more and more money. I would look at it. It's a wide term, but I would want to look at it from that perspective, Ezekiel.
Wonderful, AJ. So, finally, where can our listeners find you, learn more about your work, get more advice from you, or listen to your podcast?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, listening to my podcast anywhere you can find the KJ Masterclass live. If you want to watch the videos, I'm video first. I go live with my shows. Then you can find it a lot of places. But YouTube, the KJ Masterclass live, there you can find. There are many episodes you can learn from the experts directly from there. And in terms of the website is also there, some content is there also. But yes, you can connect me. The best place for me, for you to connect with me, is on LinkedIn, because I can easily trace the notifications and all there at LinkedIn. So there, my name is there on the screen. You can just type that and you'll find me on LinkedIn. DM me there at any point in time, anything if you want to. My contribution to innovation is that if you are a genuine person and if you want to learn anything from me, I will immediately respond to you as soon as. But if you want to squeeze something out of of me as a marketer, and then as I said, my response will be much more different. So make that difference, explain that difference, write to me, and I will try and make that difference in your life with whatever little that I know of. This is what we can do for one another.
Wonderful, wonderful, AJ. It's been a really great conversation with you today, and I'm really excited to have you on the Fairy Cast.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ezekiel. Nice talking to you. I really enjoyed it.